Humans are weird. Competitive gliding. I must admit, 34 Trills said as he shuffled the stack of data pads that he held in his wing folds, being stationed on a base with humans has certainly expanded and condensed my understanding of the Ranger Corps safety regulations. One either flies or falls in this sort of situation, the base commander agreed as he held out a wing hook for the next data pad. Have you found any regulation yet that even begins to cover the situation? 34 Trills asked. Yes, the commander said with a tired sigh. The vast majority of these regulations about disrupting flight space do cover the situation to some degree. But, 34 Trills asked as he began to sort through some sub-files on interspecies insults, they are all meant to cover serious violations, the commander said as he shifted his data pads around in tired confusion. There is nothing that is really applicable to a wing of junior rangers blowing off steam in a method that is so ultimately harmless. I wouldn't call causing great masses of half-directed chaff into the main personnel flight path exactly harmless, 34 Trills pointed out. Tell me, the commander said with a sigh as he reached up to rub his sensory horns, is there a single hair's weight of malice or of forethought in the human's actions? To be right on the wind's edge, 34 Trills said with a dry rasp, I highly doubt that there is any thought involved at all. The commander gave a dry chuckle and shoved the data pads away from him. This really is my fault, he said as he walked over to the window and looked out at the soft green floor of the quad. The majority of the human component of the training base were scattered across the ground cover, wearing the minimum amount of clothing that their culture allowed. They had dragged out the massive recycling bin in the middle of the quad, and a few were vigorously sorting through the waste in search of paper of a particular density. This they then handed out to humans who sorted it and carried it to a line of contestants huddled over the starting line of an improvised flight test range. These humans were busily folding the paper into glide surfaces, which were then hurled down the range with propulsion levers. The improvised gliders flew, fell, and swerved drunkenly down the test range, where they were then judged by a row of humans with recording devices. The situation in of itself wouldn't have been so bad. The improvised test range was a reasonably restricted area of the quad. However, the rest of the humans appeared to be engaged in a purely disorganized effort of creativity that was filling the entire airspace with folded paper contraptions that slewed, glided, and dropped, making the space a flight hazard more nearly akin to a storm wind in the treetops than anything else. Were you able to gain any insight into what initiated this? The commander finally asked. Not a chirp, 34 Trills said with a sigh. The humans all seemed satisfied with the entertainment provided on the base. We were making sure to assign each human the suggested amount of vigorous outdoor walking tasks. None of them has mentioned this activity in public, at least, that we could record. How did this start again? The commander asked, waving a wing hook at the chaos outside the window. They both flinched as a heavier-bodied craft slammed into the window. This one seemed to have some sort of polymer band attached to a primitive propeller surface. Dear Mother Tree, 34 Trills muttered in horror. They are adding extended propulsion to them now. The commander gave an irritated chirp, and 34 Trills flapped his attention back to the superior officer. Specialist Smith, he said quickly. He was sweeping out the bay where the recycling bin is kept. There was a fragment of paper on the floor too big for the broom to handle, so he bent over to pick it up manually. He seemed to pause and consider it for a moment. Then, instead of putting it into the smaller recycling bin, he folded it into a glide surface and attempted to glide it into the open top of the main bin. He missed the toss repeatedly and was observed by Specialist Smith, who suggested a modification to the glide surface. That mod didn't work, so they began to troubleshoot other designs. And at no point did it occur to either of them to just place the paper in the smaller bin, the commander asked. Apparently not, 34 Trills replied. Eventually, other humans observed them and attempted to help. This required more paper, which they procured from the main recycling bin, and, well, 34 Trills gestured to the window with a wing hook. As you can see, it is a very fair day out and a general rest day. They took it outside, the commander finished as a bright yellow glider drifted past the window. They took it outside, 34 trills confirmed. If we can't find a regulation by sundown, I will write one myself, the commander said as he bent back to the task at hook. Humans are weird, I did the math. Available on Indiegogo, February and March of 2026. If you want more absurd humans and befuddled aliens, get your copy now.